Hello, this is Matthew Jaski with fitlish.com, and today I want to show you a comparison between some of my shoes and the new Lems Primal 2. Now, if you're interested in the Lems Primal 2, you can check these out at fitlish.com/store. Right now, I'm going to compare the Lems Primal 2 to my new Balance Minimus shoes I got last year right here. Just a quick comparison of features. The New Balance Minimus is my second choice for a step-down shoe from a more traditional running shoe. That is because it does away with the arch support that you would have in a traditional running shoe, and it keeps the heel cushion or the drop from the heel to the ball of the foot. So you have a small drop here as your heel is raised above the ball of your foot, like in a traditional running shoe. And you also have a pretty aggressive toe spring. Now, both of those are not ideal for the healthiest foot you can create, or they're a bit of a crutch on your foot. They're not the ideal things to have in a shoe, but since we're used to them, this makes for a decent shoe to step down to a more aggressive minimalist shoe. Now, let me show you some of the minimalist features. It has a sock-like upper, so your foot breathes very well in this shoe. It has a very large toe box, so you have plenty of room for your toes to wiggle around in there. And I should mention, it is compatible with correct toes, which help ensure the widest spot, on your shoe, on your foot, is from your biggest toe to your pinky toe, as it should be. Now, most of us, that's not the case, so correct toes help realign your toes like that and ensure that they grow back to the widest spot, being the big toe to the little toe. Now, these are highly flexible shoes. They roll up quite well. And the sole is pretty minimal on the front here. As I mentioned, there is a cushion. There's a fair amount of cushion in the back. So you get a good feedback from the ground to the bottom of your foot, which is very good for establishing your balance and your stride, your optimal stride, because you get more feedback from the ground to your brain and your senses. Let's compare that to the Lems Primal 2. This is a zero drop shoe, meaning the heel of the foot is at the same level as the ball of the foot. It's highly flexible again. The upright actually breathes, in my opinion, better than anything else I've found, and it has a good cushion in it. The Minimus New Balance here has no cushion in the upright. Let me explain why that's nice here in a second. This is just like a sock, and in terms of wearability, it's starting to tear through already here in several spots. We're getting holes in the shoe. Here's another pair of those to illustrate that a bit better. These have been worn just walking and on the treadmill, and they've almost completely blown out. This is another pair of New Balance Minimus shoes. This has been worn for over a month now, a couple months, and it really shows no sign of wear other than a little dirt from walking around. As I mentioned, the upright's also cushioned a little bit in this shoe, so you can lace your shoelaces here a little more securely, and it doesn't hurt your foot. They don't dig into your foot at all. It just gives you a nice snug fit. Now, on the Minimus New Balance, you do have the laces digging right into your feet when you lace this up. That's something to consider. They're a little less comfortable in that respect. Now, I did mention this is a zero drop shoe. It actually has a slightly better toe box. As you notice, it curves. The radius is less aggressive on the end of the shoe than it is on the Minimus New Balance. And I did notice, wearing the correct toes, these are the same size, pretty much same size shoe. Wearing the correct toes, I got my outside toes here rubbing a little bit in the Minimus New Balance. I didn't have any rubbing at all in the Lems Primal 2 here. As for the wear, after having wore these for a couple months, the sole on the Lems Primal 2, you can't tell there's any wear on it, which is extraordinary to me. The glue where the sole meets the upright is like new. It's not pulling apart anywhere. There's no holes forming in the upper mesh material here. The lacing here, I have been lacing it fairly tight. They're not tearing through or anything like that on the eyelets. As I mentioned, this shoe looks like the day I pulled it out of the box, aside from a little dirt on it. Now, the Minimus New Balance, I cannot say that. We do have the upper tearing through in some spots here. As for the bottom of the shoe, it does have some pretty bad wear on it. There is a foam-like, almost like a sponge-like material wrapped by a golf ball-like rubber surface here, and that rubber surface is starting to tear off the bottom of the shoe. In spots, it's wore quite badly. But in comparison to some of the other minimalist shoes, the New Balance holds up pretty well. It's just, it doesn't even compare to the Lems Primal 2 though. As I mentioned, I've got quite a bit of wear in this Lems Primal 2 and you can't even tell. It looks like new aside from a little dirt. This guy looks pretty sad. It looks like he's almost to the end of his life here. And that's just a testament to how well they thought out this Lems Primal 2. As I mentioned, the correct toes, if you haven't heard of these, I'm sure you will eventually. They fit very well in the Lems Primal 2. They actually, it's like this shoe was made for them. They fit decently well in the Minimus, the New Balance Minimus. The only thing we have here is a little bit of rubbing on the sides, which isn't ideal, but you can wear them inside here. One more thing I forgot to mention, I don't know if I'd mentioned, there's a toe spring on the New Balance Minimus. There's virtually no toe spring in the Lems Primal 2. Why is that ideal? It's because it makes the top of your toe set up higher than the bottom. It puts a little curl on it. And in the end, over time, that makes the top of your toe shorter than the bottom. And that's where we get a lot of our hammer toes from. It causes them to curl over because the one side's shorter than the other when we take our shoes off. That's very much not ideal. Whereas the Lems Primal 2, you don't have to worry about that because there's very little toe spring in this shoe at all. If you're interested in checking out a pair of Lems Primal 2, go ahead and jump over to my website. That's fitlish.com/store, and there you can check out the correct toes as well as the Lems Primal 2 shoe here. There's multiple colors, multiple sizes, of course, and there's both sizes for men and women there. If you have any questions about the Lems Primal 2, about my experience with any of my other minimalist shoes, go ahead and write those below in the comments and I'll make sure to answer your questions there. Thanks a lot for watching my video. I hope you have the best experience with your new Lems Primal 2 after you pick up the shoe. I know you'll love them. I've loved mine, and we'll talk to you later.